Hello and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance. Of course, I'm your host Clay, and with me is of course Katie. Katie, how you doing?
Much better than last week. I don't know what I got last week, if it was some stomach virus or what, but it was awful. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Glad to be
I
back.
I think Amber Lynn is dealing with some stomach issues right now. She has not been a happy camper, but at the same time, it kids are a phenomenon. Katie, you're going to learn this very very soon. Kids have this weird thing that they could be like upset stomach, feverish, and all of this stuff and be screaming because of that. But also, they're always hungry. So it's like, oh, maybe you should rest. It's like, no, maybe I should eat a whole bunch of junk food and candy and like, hey, you're eating something, I want that. And by the way, I don't give my daughter junk food. She is 1 years old, but she sees me eating chips or a snack or something, and she's like, oh, that's mine now. Oh, that's mine now. Like, why aren't you giving that to me? I'm gonna scream at you until you give it to me. I'm dealing with that right now. It's not great.
You sound
Main
like she sounds like her in my stomach telling me what I want to eat.
Oh,
So,
it's the absolute worst because I like it's a bad habit, but like after I get off of work, I usually stop and like just grab a snack. Nothing like nothing too big or anything just because I don't want to like go to like Pizza Hut and grab a pizza and be like, "Hey guys, y'all fend for yourselves. I'm going to eat a pizza." I just grab like maybe a bag of chips or a candy bar or just something. I'm like,
yeah.
I worked hard today. I'm just gonna enjoy this. Watch whatever I need to watch when I get home, or just do whatever. And I'm eating this, enjoying this because of my hard day at work. And then Amberlin's like, "No, I think that's mine now. I think you worked hard so you could give me those chips. That's what that is. It's the worst. But she I also love the way that kids, like, just see, like, how wondrous the world is because Abby sent me a video of her noticing that it was snowing outside, flurrying,
Oh,
not necessarily snowing, it was just there was a flurry outside, and, like, she, like, got really excited and, like, peeked outside and, like, moved the curtains, really cute, but, yeah, she's just in that really cute phase right now, but yeah, anyway, we have I didn't know that we had a whole lot of news until Katie wrote a novel like
I
30
was
minutes
trying
before
to
the show.
summarize.
That that was your summary.
Yes.
Now, granted, all text look bigger when you're on mobile, so and the format on Twitter, just the way that like if you're shooting a long message is not great because it's just like shrunk down
Yeah.
and then just goes really long. So I can understand the idea of it just being a summary, but it looked like a novel on my phone. Um
Look, I don't want to talk.
we have a lot to talk about. I did mention one of these last week when you were out, but I do want to get your opinion on it. Just because
Okay.
you are the novelist in this, you're the reader. So,
Yes.
with this first topic, which we are going to talk about, uh, I want to know your opinions. Have you heard of this author before? Have you read anything from them? I want to know all that. But we do have a lot of news. We have a lot of news, and then of course our main topic this week is episode 4, which is crazy to think about. Second week of the show being premiered, and it's already on episode 4. But episode
Yes.
4 of The Bad Batch is going to be our main topic tonight. So, Katie, why don't you shoot off with some of our first topics?
So the topic that you're referencing, for everyone is the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire, and it is by Dr. Chris Kimshaw, and it is an in-universe novel, written by Beaumont Kin, um, the in-universe author being, and it is about obviously the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire. Timeline specifically unknown at the moment. But Chris Kimshaw has done. is a public historian and author who specializes in transnational experiences of warfare and modern media representations of history, particularly computer games and the Star Wars franchise. So he has written um, the first book that I had heard about from him was the history and politics of Star Wars, which was I think a self-publishing effort. Um,
Oh, very interesting. I didn't know that.
and it was Routledge Studies in Modern History. And like the subtitle is Death Stars and Democracy. So that was the first thing that I had heard of. I actually didn't realize that he had also contributed to this Decade book, Star Wars Battles That Changed the Galaxies. So this was by Cole Horton, Jason Fry, Amy Radcliffe, and Chris Kimshaw. So that is one of those books, like a timelines book that you can get that just kind of goes over um, the battles of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So that was his first, I think, major publication for Star Wars. And then this one, it's very similar to supposedly, I have not read Skywalker: A Family at War by Kristen Baber, but it's kind of done in the same vein. That was an in-universe biography on the Skywalker family. And this one is in-universe talking about the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire. So it is out July 9th. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of excited for this one because I like Beaumont Ken. He was very interesting. Obviously, like based on Shadow of the Sith, not necessarily the movie. So to kind of get to see more from his perspective is going to be really interesting.
I like how I said this last week, but I love how the author of the actual book is a historian themselves,
Mhm.
and they're writing in universe about a historian writing the
Yeah.
history of Star Wars. I think that is very, very unique. I think that is very, very cool. I'm very excited to get a look on how that really narrates, I guess. Um, I think it's gonna be really, really fun. Um, I will say, because I have not updated Katie yet on my reading, Defy the Storm finished. Done. I am done with it. And I have only read the first 3 pages of The Living Force, but I am actually taking a break from reading until we do our review because although I know and my brain knows that The Living Force and Defy the Storm are in two
Yep.
different eras, but I don't want to be reviewing Defy the Storm and then all of a sudden just say something really silly from The Living Force and be like, why did I do that?
Been there, done that. So that is a very smart decision.
So
Um,
I'm gonna take a break from reading at least novels for the week because I think we are actually recording that review this weekend.
yes. Probably Sunday, but I am only on chapter 7, so I have some catching up to do. Still. But uh we will get it finished. We will get it finished. Don't worry. So yes. That book, by the way, for those who are interested, is out next Tuesday, Defy the Storm. And it is the last book of the Wave 1 High Republic Publishing Initiative for phase 3. So make sure you kind of get that. We will be publishing our review of Defy the Storm in a separate episode from our Bad Batch review. So there will be 2 episodes next week that you can count on. So obviously, not everybody gets the novels early, so feel free to go ahead and listen to the Bad Batch episode, and then come back once you finish Defy the Storm, and that episode will be here when you're ready. So,
Yes, of course.
um, alrighty. So the next bit of news we have is a little interesting, I think. But the Mandalorian and Grogu film uh have landed one of the largest tax credit awards for California. It is going to be the first Star Wars film to be shot entirely in California, as a matter of fact. And the tax credit is $21.755 million.
So
Conditional.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you here. This is all jargon that completely goes over my head. The only thing that uh, I get from this is a movie that is solely filmed in California. Does this mean that the entire movie is going to be in the volume?
Probably. I would bet, which I'm not happy with, but
This is where I'm asking why. Because again, there's gonna be people out there that say, "Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it." Here's the problem. I think there are little cracks in the volume that need to be fixed. It is
yep.
broke. I understand that there has been amazing projects and amazing shots and scenery and all these different things that the volume has been able to provide to us as consumers of this franchise. I completely understand that. But when you are stepping up your game from show series to movie,
Yep.
budget goes up. And guess what? You should be able to film in other places, make it worthwhile. Like, and again, I understand the sentiment that even Lucasfilm and Disney are probably making. Hey, you could still make this on the volume and we make quadruple the amount of money. That's what they're thinking. And it's just a shame.
100%. And this tax credit basically allows them to say, like, hey, technically our budget was 160 million, but you know what we could report? It was 140 million. So technically we made more profit because of the tax credits. So that's
Mhm.
kind of where that boils down to. It's like what you see when we stay for like the Marvel movies at the end. Like this film was shot thanks to Georgia or Australia, like those kind of things, basically. Um, so it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Like again, we're still learning things. Pedro Pascal, by the way, is still not signed on, but I mean, obviously, the man can do his job, like we've
So
talked about, in two
that's
days.
that's
So,
that's what I wanted to bring up because we talked about it in our GUA chat and our Star Wars Alliance chat, but I'm still seeing a lot of people still very confused as like, oh, this man is way too busy to be on the set of a movie. And you brought up a tweet. I can't remember who tweeted it out, but
yeah,
you brought up a tweet that said, "Oh, Pedro Pascal is just doing the exact same thing that James Earl Jones did for Darth Vader, and nobody batted an eyelash at it."
yep.
Now,
It's
here's the question,
sensationalized, and
though.
it did. It reframed my perspective because I've said here over and over again, he's way too damn busy for this. Like, what the
Mhm.
heck? So that reframed my way of thinking about it because I was like, you know what? That's completely right. Like, James Earl Jones was still doing Darth Vader the last time Darth Vader was done. So like the man can just like swing in and do it. So it makes a lot more sense to me thinking about it in that regard.
Now, here's the thing, though. I think this is an issue of how goddamn sexy Pedro Pascal is, though. That's the problem. People don't want to just hear the voice, the seductive, sexy voice of Pedro Pascal. People want to see the face, and I completely understand.
Yeah.
But he is now the James Earl Jones of the Star Wars franchise in this new era. I'm not going to say he's I can almost say I think with a couple more years and just depending on how the Mandalorian is going to evolve throughout the history of Star Wars, that like because of this new revelation that we've had, they are
Mhm.
now on almost equal footing as far as the types of characters that they are. James Earl Jones was just a voice. Pedro Pascal is now just a voice. Now, I think it is very possible that if there is just like the checkbox of every single episode, or not every single episode, but every single season of The Mandalorian, hey, we need one emotional scene with the mask off. Hey, you fly Pedro down, you shoot the scene, and then you fly him back. Boom. It's done.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got like Pedro Pascal has talked a lot about how he worked with the stunt doubles to create the persona of Din Djarin. So you've got them there to easily say like, okay, this is how the scene should be acted. But then like being able to fly Pascal in later on and digitally recreate him into the shot. I mean, that's completely plausible. It'll also shock everybody else who was in the scene, like because I mean we talked about season two, uh all of the actresses who were in the season finale for season two had no idea that that was Luke Skywalker. They all thought it was Plo Koon. So until they saw it, so it's like you can do the exact same thing. And I mean, you bring Pascal in for 2 days and do it. So I've reframed my point of view. I don't know if for Mando and Grogu they'll do face. I still think for the Heir to the Empire movie, you need face. So
I think if there is a for sure, hey, I'm writing this character off, this character is going to die, Pedro needs to show his face there. I
yeah,
think that is the only time he needs to. But everything else, just need his voice. That's it.
I still think Mando and Grogu is hey, let's bring the Disney Plus people to the theaters
Yeah.
and make some money off of them. Heir to the
Don't
Empire
I
is
mean, we've already said don't let it be all 3 seasons into one movie, but I
yes,
agree that it is basically catch up for everybody else. Yeah.
yes, and so I think it's that move, and whereas I think Heir to the Empire is like bring everybody to the theater type difference. So that's where I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, you need Pascal for that movie. You may not need him for Mando and Grogu. So,
Yeah.
but I digress. So a little bit of snippet for Andor season two. Stellan Skarsgård is apparently talking a lot about Andor right now, and he says that it's going to release in late 2024, early 2025. I don't know if they'll make 2024.
I don't know. This sparked another conversation in our Star Wars Alliance chat. With if it does somehow make a 2024 release, uh, we always make fun of the Book of Boba Fett making that last
Yep.
week of of the year. So they might be able to do that, but why are we hearing about Andor and still nothing about the skeleton crew? Like
And I mean,
I
you think about it too, we're not hearing a ton about Acolyte, though we're about to go into a conversation about the Acolyte with
Mhm.
Amanda Stenberg's interview. But we currently, everybody's saying June 5th for the Acolyte. But also, well, is that actually going to happen? No, nothing official has come out yet. So, yeah. It Disney Plus PR is strange. I think everybody agrees on that. So,
it's odd. I so we have seen on both mediums as far as TV and movies that when there is not a whole lot of confidence for said show or movie, there's a little less coverage. There's a little less interviews. We don't hear much. And if we do, it's very vague from some random person that is not from one of like a big news source, right? It's usually
yeah.
like just random. I think this is the wrong way to go. Just because again, you never know what will become a cult classic, what will become oddly fan favorited, you know?
Yep.
Um and I genuinely think that you need to just you you made your bed and you lie in it. That's what you gotta do.
Yep.
Uh, with Skeleton Crew, we have heard I mean, I say we have heard, but we only heard for like 2 weeks that, hey, Skeleton Crew is like a really bad, situation going on. And then
Yep.
after that, we never heard anything, which could either be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yep.
And right now, with how news coverage or the lack thereof is kind of unfortunately proving that to be true, assumingly. So I just want to hear more about this show. You throw out this amazing hook of, oh, it's Stranger Things in Star Wars. Stranger Things is a huge franchise. People love that show. Like you just got to push it. That's my thing. Is you just have to push it.
Yeah. I think we'll see because isn't D24 supposed to take place in August this year?
It's either August or September, one of the two.
Yeah, so I think we'll see more as well as potentially like a first look at an Andor season 2 trailer there. Um, but I mean, when we talked about this in Star Wars Alliance chat, Skeleton Crew still has plenty of opportunities. Marvel, the last show that they're releasing for the year that's live action is Agatha House of Darkness. So I think you still have plenty of time to play with to release Skeleton Crew. If drop or if it's an all at once drop like Echo. So
Yeah.
we'll continue to see what happens. I don't know. Um, and I don't think, in regards to the PR efforts for like this one, like Andor season 2 release date stuff, I don't think you can shut up Stellan Skarsgård. I think he's too powerful of a person, and you just
I
go,
think so as well.
yeah,
I and for one, I think it's great. If for because for one, yes, with as big of a star that he is, don't stop him. And for two, with how that show went under the radar as
Mhm.
far as like general public and people knowing about this show, people need to be talking about it. So I do like I approve of his message. Hey, we're working on this and it's coming out. Yeah, let people know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, so Amanda Stenberg had an interview with Magazine C, and it's primarily photography, but they did answer some questions about the acolyte in particular, as well as some of their personal life and everything. So here were some fun facts that I read from the interview. So Leslie Headland, the showrunner for The Acolyte, actually designed the lead role with Stenberg in mind and took 3 to 4 years to develop it. She literally told her, like, hey, I've got this role for you, and showcased all of this oh my gosh, I can't think of the word, but like artwork for the show. It's in a similar vein to Favreau with Pedro Pascal, and said, here's all this stuff, and here's your face on it.
Okay,
I don't know
this
what I'm gonna do if you don't sign.
okay, I have questions with just that one statement.
Okay.
3 to 4 years. That's the exact same time as what we've been inside of the High Republic. So, how much on the inside was she?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Um, I didn't write down the specific quotes. Let me find it real fast.
Maybe she
Oh,
was like maybe she had an idea and this kinda, like, just shifted into the High Republic? Possibly?
maybe.
I think that would
Where is
be
it?
that would
Um,
make most sense.
So Stenberg said all the artwork was conceptualized with my face, and Leslie was like, "So I've been working on this for about 3 or 4 years for you. I don't know what I'm gonna do if you don't do it. No pressure."
Yeah, no pressure, just, I've been obsessing over you for 3 years.
And
Ah,
she was officially announced, I think, at Star Wars Celebration 2022.
yeah.
So 2021, excuse me. Um,
Okay, okay.
so High Republic came out 2021. after being delayed from 2020.
Mhm.
So could be, could be
Yeah.
that Headland said, "Hey, I've got this concept. Here's what I want to do,"
And maybe
and
Charles was like, "Hey, that works really well with what we're doing in this initiative." I think that would work, yeah. I could see that.
yeah, or they could have said, Headland wants to do this. Well, let's do a publishing initiative to walk into it. And I mean, honestly,
Ooh, I
like,
like that idea too.
yeah, and honestly, if you think about it, well, okay, Acolyte was probably originally supposed to come out last year, but with the COVID delay for the
Mhm.
High Republic, you could have easily said, okay, everything's done before the Acolyte ever comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Very
um,
interesting.
yeah, for sure. Um, so, um, the article also did drop a hint about Lee Jung Jae's character. Lee Jung Jae being the star of Netflix's Squid Game. He came over and is playing Stenberg's Jedi Master. Remember, Stenberg is technically playing twins, we believe.
Yes.
So she's playing a dark side and a light side character. So that's interesting because a lot of people thought Harry, um, the Matrix lady.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I see the face. Yes.
Everybody thought that she was Stenberg's Jedi Master.
Mhm.
So that's different from um, how things have kind of ended up. I've got to look up her name now because that's going to make me really mad. Carrie Ann Moss. I knew it was Carrie something. Okay. And then about Stenberg talking about her role in the show, she said, I have a really, really heavy load in the show, an abnormal load. Which I mean, as a lead, I think this is the first time that Stenberg is actually leading maybe a
A
bigger
project.
production.
Mhm.
So I don't know that for certain, so don't quote me on that, people. Um, but yeah. And then about the show, Stenberg said, in the context of the Star Wars universe, it's a time of great peace, theoretically. It's also a time of an institution, and it's a time in which conceptions around the Force are very strict. And I think what we're trying to explore within our show is when an institution has a singular conception of how power can be used, we try to provide a lot of different perspectives and answers to that question. The idea is to kind of honor the ethos of Star Wars and ideas around the Force and also challenge them, hopefully harmoniously.
So this is what I'm a little worried about. So, do you think with that description, are we going to leave out a heavy amount of what the High Republic was to lead into the Acolyte? As far as, like, the setup. Like, because we know, because of the announcement, last year, or yeah, last year with, Vernestra Rowe now being a part of this project, being a character in the Acolyte. Do we believe that, like, again, it says that there are a lot of strict rules. In the High Republic, we are reading that there are rules. A lot of people, and maybe a little hint of what's going to happen in a book that we're going to be reviewing this week. Um,
Don't spoil anything, sir.
I'm just saying, and we've said this overall in the High Republic, not necessarily just in Defy the Storm, but like in majority of what we have read throughout the High Republic, is the Jedi have been a little bit more loose on the personal idea of what the rules mean for them.
Definitely what the Temptation of the Forest cover looks like, people.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, I like I just don't want to go into this show with a lot of expectations of like, oh, I'm gonna get this Easter egg or this Easter egg, and I'm gonna get this reference and this reference. When I think a lot of us should probably settle our expectations. This is gonna be a lot of people's introductions to the concept of the High Republic era, which is technically, from what we know, also the ending of the High Republic era going into what we know as the prequels. Correct?
The Acolyte being the ending of the High Republic era. Yes.
Yeah. So, like, like my question to you is, are your expectations changed at all with this statement on how like the show is being conceptualized?
No, I always thought, especially getting into the High Republic books, I always thought that the Nihil was maybe the catalyst
Mhm.
and that the Acolyte is the final result because sometimes the catalyst can take a while to react
Yeah.
and figure things out. I mean, Yoda, as the Grand Master of the Order, he was the Grand Master before the Land of the Jedi and was taking a hiatus to train more and like kind of explore, take some time off. So, I mean, it could be that he takes over as retakes over as the Grand Master, and the acolyte is what finally triggers him to correct some rules um that have been in
It
place and
hasn't
more
been
staunchly emphasize things.
it hasn't been confirmed that Yoda's a part of the series, has it?
No, but I don't see why he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because I think you have to showcase him. I think you could potentially showcase a young Mace Windu, um, but I think you have to showcase Yoda and
Yeah.
have that transaction
Mhm.
between, hey, this is the Yoda we knew in the book, which to most people they're not going to read that, but this is the Yoda that was before, and this is what happened to get him to where he is in Phantom Menace
Yeah.
to make the decisions that he does. So, um, yeah. That's what I think. I don't have any less faith in the show or the books to kind of do things because
Well,
I think there's
I
also enough time between the two.
yeah, I
So,
don't think I have, like, lost faith in the show at all. I just reading this, I had to simmer down my expectations because I also have to remember there is a pretty hefty gap between what we are
yeah,
currently reading and when this show is going to be taking place.
yeah.
So,
Approximately 100 years is what we're looking at.
yeah.
So,
And how much time between this and Phantom Menace?
I believe it's 50 years.
So would we
The
see a young Mace Windu?
oof, hang on, the acolyte before the Phantom Menace time. Okay, I had just looked this up. See, that says 100 years, but I think it's 50 years now.
Okay.
Um, that says 2022. Um, so if it's 100, you would not see Mace Windu. But let's
Yeah.
see. Mace Windu. Wikipedia. Make sure we're on the canon page. So he was born in 72 BBY and died in 19 BBY. So that makes him roughly 51 years old. So you
Yeah.
could see a very young kid, Mace Windu, as an Easter egg.
Yeah, maybe. That would be interesting.
Um, why is that so zoomed in? That's weird. Yeah. I don't I mean it might be like a season 2 thing if there's a season 2. We don't know. So,
Yeah.
all right. So the last bit of Disney Plus news that we have. So, a couple people I follow a couple people from Star Wars Europe, like European fans. Um and this one is specifically from German Jedi, Florian. He's a great guy. You should follow him and everything. Um, but he shared because somebody had so he so Star Wars Ian had said the series finale of the Bad Batch is called The Cavalry Has Arrived. Who do we think the cavalry will be? And Florian said it must be Ming Na Wen's character, Fennec Shand, of course. Um, and then he said also, as a fun note, the German title of the finale, and I'm not going to pronounce the German, so you're just going to have to trust me on this,
I have taken
translates.
German in high school, but I am still not going to attempt to read that.
See, I'm not alone, people. I took Spanish, so but he said it translates to decision slash showdown on Tantus. And so not the cavalry has arrived. So what does that make you think of? Like just like
Well,
especially with
okay,
today's
so
episode. Not going into
when you
today's
when
episode
you
really.
take the two titles as they are, the cavalry has arrived, and then showdown at Tantus. Those could seemingly mean the same thing.
Yeah.
So, uh, I I don't think that means much. I will, however, point out what he said secondly.
I was gonna get there, but you go ahead.
Well, the reason why I wanted to bring this one up is I wanted to give you an applaud because I think you were right. We had the conversation about, okay, when do we think Asajj Ventress is going to show up? And we've had several different theories. But Florian said, and the much discussed 3-9 episode, season 3, episode 9, episode title, The Harbinger, is De Vorboten, I think is how you pronounce it, which is uh basically saying that it's going to be a female harbinger. And you said, who is the harbinger of death? Asajj Ventress. I think you are correct. I think episode 9 is going to at least include her. Now, again, we would have to go back to the episode titles. Is Harbinger the first or the second episode of the two-parter that we are seeing? Because I believe that's part of the this mid-season, is it not?
So 6 and 7 is a two-parter on the
Okay.
13th.
Okay.
Harbinger is a solo episode on the 27th.
Oh, really?
And then Identity Crisis and Point of No Return is a two-parter on April 3rd.
But it's the one immediately after?
Yeah, so in theory, you could have Asajj Ventress come in at the very end, and they were
Yeah.
hunting for her the entire time, and then you show her, and then the next two episodes kind of dive into where she's been or what's happening with her now, kind of thing.
I would I would be okay with that. Getting
Yeah,
her for 3 episodes, I would
yeah.
love that.
No, I think for sure. It'll be interesting. I'm curious to see where they'll go with it. Um, we'll talk about that though. We'll talk about that. I can't talk about it because I'm gonna dive in spoilers, and we're gonna get to there. We're gonna get to there. I promise. All right. Okay. So, there have been a ton of video game layoffs in the past week, and this
Ugh.
sucks for everybody involved. And I think a tweet that I liked kind of says it all by I'm Ransom G, Imran Khan on Twitter, and they said make unsuccessful games, get laid off. Make successful games, get laid off. Audience says GAAS, which I don't know what that is out of tune with the market, so you make single player epics, get laid off. There's no safe jobs in the gaming industry because it's driven by an inherently unstable model. And this is fact. So,
I saw this tweet. I saw that you had liked it and reposted it. I hate this because here are the facts, Katie. I've kind of mentioned this before on this podcast. We don't talk much about video games, although we have been talking a lot about video games recently.
I
Um,
know it feels like a lot.
uh, but the video game industry is evolving and devolving at the exact same time. It's a very weird concept. Um, Unfortunately, the success of one video game made every single company say, I want that, I need to do that, we need to do that, let's do that. And when all of these companies shifted from what they were perfectly doing successfully and chased the money, they did not succeed. And so they think, oh, the only way to make a better situation for our company is to lay off hundreds of these people and then shift back to what they were good at.
And we repeat the cycle as necessary.
I hate this because there's so many, and I understand that you're over here hiring new people in order to then chase what this other company has. But there's so many people that work so hard to get into the industry. And because you have, I don't know if you said friends or colleagues that have chased the video game industry, have
Yep.
gotten several different jobs within a short amount of time because of how crazy and chaotic the choices that they
Yeah.
have made in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, like, I took a virtual reality class in college, and so many of those friends were like so many of those people that I took that class with were like, "Yeah, I like, this is why I got into computer science, like, I love this, like, so much." And I was like, "No, I hate this. I'm taking this because I need to pass a class." Like, no, absolutely not. Um, and but it's like that's like even going back to like my introductory computer science classes, so many people when asked, "Hey, why did you get into programming?" I said a career assessment test told me I'd be good in it. And everybody else pretty much said, "I want to design video
I
games."
wanna make
Like,
video games. It is one of the biggest dreams a child could have. I'm not even
mhm,
gonna lie. It's something that I have always wanted to do, and partly, one of the reasons why I still wanna pursue audio engineering is so that way I could put my name somewhere in the credits of a video game. I think that would be awesome,
yeah.
but I know how crazy the industry is, and I know how
Mhm,
hard it is to stay within the industry because of what exactly is going on right now, and it sucks. It sucks so much because people, like I said, have worked hard going into that industry, have a solid job. Then their boss says, "Hey, we're going to shift from this that is job security to this, which is hopefully more job security," and then say, "Hey, that failed. And a result of that, you have to leave." That
yep.
sucks. Absolutely sucks. Um, from this news, we have, and I we say news, but we haven't even said it yet. EA has announced today that they are letting go of 670 employees across the company. That could mean around the world. We know that Sony just recently did it. I think as of like yesterday.
Yep.
Um, there are now over 1,000 people without a job. Just poof. And
Yeah, I think somebody had tweeted that in 2023 there was 23,000 video game industry layoffs. That was
mhm,
the rough number. And so far in the first 2 months of this year, we're at 18,000.
absolutely insane. It is catching up to what the total of last year was.
Yep.
Now, we are hearing, for anybody who doesn't know, EA does make video games for the Star Wars franchise. That being, of course, the Star Wars Jedi series. Of course, that's Fallen Order, Jedi Outcast. Those are the two games that they have made.
Survivor.
Fortunately, yeah, sorry, Survivor, not Outcast. Outcast is a long time ago. Um, Fortunately, the Jedi series is a staple of the Star Wars franchise and IP that they are wanting to focus on. So that
Mhm.
trilogy is still going to be completed. But the very unfortunate thing is that a game that has been conceptualized by so many Star Wars fans
Yep.
is no longer being made. This is something that people have wanted before it was even announced. People have always wanted a bounty hunter s game, which there was a bounty hunter game for the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube where you played as Boba Fett and all of this stuff. But people wanted more, of course, with modernized graphics and modernized gameplay and all of this other stuff. It was kind of announced. More so, it was a hey, we are creating this unannounced large IP first shooter, and everybody's like, it's Star Wars, it's Star Wars. and now we are hearing that the bounty hunter game that we all got excited about is no longer being made. That sucks.
Yeah. And again, like this is what I don't understand about the gaming industry is like you do all this announcing and everything because I think this Bounty Hunter game was announced 2 years ago at this
Hmm.
point. And you hype all these people up, and obviously there's no pre-orders or anything available. So it's a little bit different, but it's like, really? Like,
There has been a very large conversation about that throughout the community, Katie. Because very famously, there was a game called No Man's Sky where this creator and developer and company promised this amazing new world thinking of video gaming experience. And everybody was like, oh my God, this has never been done before. This is going to be amazing. And when the game became available to pre order, millions of pre orders, day one, boom, skyrocketed the charts. It was the thing to talk about. On release, on release date, it was the biggest disappointment. So much so that the company was now under investigation for basically swindling customers, saying, "Hey, we're gonna
yeah,
make big promises, but we're gonna kind of sweep it under the rug and just kind of like just give you shit." Surprisingly, they have now updated that game every single year since then and has made it a very good game. But us as fans and as gamers don't would much rather not hear an announcement of any game unless I actually see gameplay that is almost ready to push as in a release. Because one
yeah,
of the biggest things when you watch award shows now for video games, because like the big reason why people watch that is for the release trailers and for like the announcement trailers.
yeah,
You'll see right at the bottom in very, very thin lettering, small, teeny tiny lettering, alpha footage not ready for release.
yep.
It's like, why? Why show me this and get me excited when I know I'm not going to be able to play this game for another 5 years?
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's never made any sense to me. That's why, like, I don't think I even knew because again, y'all, the only video game that I really play is Mario Kart. Okay, y'all, let's just be real now. Like, that is it. But I specifically bought the Switch when I heard that Mario Kart had released another game. And
Mhm.
like I was a college student and I was like, okay, like a Switch, like it's the Switch has been out for a year at this point, I think. So I was like, okay, it's not that expensive. Like it'll give me something to do, but that's why I bought it. And but I did not know that like Mario Kart had it because I don't follow these things. So it's like that's what I would prefer is to be like, oh, there's a new Mario Kart game. Cool. Awesome sauce. Like my kind of jam. That's where I'm at. So
Yeah. No, like just to like kind of vent a little bit more, like there's a game that is literally coming out at midnight tonight. This game was announced 4 years ago with
mhm.
actual like cinematic footage, and it has not been ready to release until like mid last year, apparently. So like, why? It's absolutely insane. There is wait
Yeah,
like the amount of time, and again, I applaud anybody who works as hard as they do to get into programming, to editing, to all of these different things. 3D art, like I get it. Like I went to an art school, I totally understand. But it is insane to
yeah,
for companies to be like, "Hey, we want this and we want it to come out at this time regardless of how ready it is." Nowadays, people just like to, you know, get this amount of game and we can update it on the fly. That doesn't work anymore, and that's exactly why these companies are having to shift because they are realizing that consumers are actually holding on to their money and saying no, which is what
yeah,
people should do, by the way. For all of you that are out there that want change, this is how we do it. Unfortunately, though, there are some very stupid consequences that companies are basically making with these, you know, employees having to lose their job for it. That's the wrong way to
Yeah.
go. But
I mean, it's
hopefully,
awful, and we're seeing it especially a lot with AI.
mhm,
Companies are going to continue to try and take advantage of it, and it's just insane to me.
yeah,
This is definitely not why I got into programming, and I'm hoping that I mean, like, it just because ChatGPT is very stupid. So you have to like be able to tell it exactly what you want, thankfully, at this point, but it'll get smarter. So it'll just
yeah.
please. Anyways, that's why I wanted to share that one first so we could end this on a high note because video games suck. Um and corporate America sucks. Um but we did get more High Republic news. Um, and this baby looks kind of cool. I love black covers and everything, and this just looks badass. Like, let's be real. This is
I
the
do
Edge
like
of
this cover.
Balance volume 3 cover. And it has Jedi Master Arkoff on it. And this is taking place in 1 year after the fall of Starlight Beacon, but this is the lovely cover art, or the whole art is done by Mizuki Sakakibara. And I totally butchered that, and I'm sorry. Um, but they did this incredible work of art. Like, this is probably my favorite cover that we've gotten for the Edge Balance, I would say.
I love this. I will agree. I actually forgot Arkoff's lightsaber design. I
Yeah,
love the like, especially with just again cover design, the way it's like coming out of the cover. Really
yeah.
love the way they did that.
Yeah, because the other two covers kind of look in the same vein where like they've got stuff coming out, but they don't look as intense with that
Yes.
green border. Whereas this looks very intense. And uh Mizuki said, I envisioned the covers of Edge of Balance to represent the four seasons. Volume 1, Lily, was autumn. Volume 2, Kieran, was summer. So this time it will be Arkoff in the winter. So I wonder if that means there's a volume 4, because if you look at Edge of Balance precedent, it really doesn't have a seasonal tone to it.
No, it doesn't, but
So
I do like the tone of what winter means. Winter can be a very dark time for people. And of course, this being the aftermath of the destruction of Starlight Beacon, um, winter, darkness, and all of that, I think is very appropriate. So I do like the aesthetic of it.
yeah. Um, So this will follow Arkoff when he helps he returns to Banshee to reunite with his former Padawan Jedi Knight Lily Tora Asi, who remains on the planet to help defend it. Um, so here is some new artwork. So here's Lily with her can't think of the word, but her lightsabers with the funky design. And then here's Nemo, one of the younglings on Banshee. I love
Mhm.
her lightsaber design. I don't think we've gotten it this close before, but I love this.
Well, I was just about to ask, did we ever see them with lightsabers in the first 2
Yes, we saw
volumes?
the training ones. We
Yes.
saw the training ones specifically. Um, and then I can't remember her name. Viv Nia, the Torgrutin youngling.
Mhm.
Um, So the full description says the destruction of Starlight Beacon also destroys the peace once protected by the great Jedi of the High Republic era. In the years since Jedi Knight Lily Tora Asi defied the Council's order to return to Coruscant, the Nihil continued to storm through the galaxy, advancing in from the Outer Rim and expanding their territory. Despite the encroaching storm wall, Lily stands her ground and reestablishes Banshee's Jedi Temple. Banshee is not to be abandoned, and its long-held secrets begin to unfurl as Jedi Master Arkoff returns to connect pieces to a mystery long buried. Because you never finished Precedent, did you?
No, I didn't. So I need to go back
Yeah,
and read that and then read volume 3.
yeah. Because there was the connection was made with the oh my gosh, the Jedi who turned to the dark side and lost his eyeballs.
Oh.
Oh.
I was.
Aslan,
Yes, Aslan.
Aslan Rel.
Yes.
Yes. So there's a connection there with Aslan.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't want to spoil it for you. So go read it.
Well, we
Um,
know with the beginning of this phase, Eye of
yeah,
Darkness, as well as small portions of the comic, that Aslan is going to be a very important part of
yeah,
the last wave of the High Republic. Um, so I definitely want to go back and read that and catch up on this because there's going to be a lot of gaps if I don't.
yeah, for sure. Um, and then so Edge Balance Volume 3 will be arriving August 13th. So that's when you can expect it. Is available for pre-order currently on Amazon. So yeah. I know if you're not an Amazon person, don't hate me, okay? But my pregnancy brain can't handle going anywhere else right now. I just can't. All right, so shall we get into the Bad Batch? Actually, we're gonna take a short break, so I can go to the bathroom,
Yeah,
and I'll
not a
be right
problem.
back.
Perfect time for an ad break then. All right. So anybody who is still with us on YouTube, which there is not, that's totally fine. All right. Well, people watching this later, I guess, is going to be a little awkward. Um, but yeah. I hear my child playing in the background. Hopefully she's supposed to be in bed. Why is she still awake right now? Hmm. Interesting. We'll see. We will see. All right. Uh, I'm going to be a very irresponsible adult tonight and play Final Fantasy. Oh, hello.
Hello.
All right. So let me. So you want to bring us into the Bad Batch, and then I'll just write down the time so that I know when to cut.
That works.
All right.
All right. So 3, 2, 1. And we are back. So, y'all, we are here to talk about the Bad Batch, season 3. I almost said season 4, episode 3. No, it's season 3, episode 4. A different approach. And this episode covers um um oh my gosh, Omega and Crosshairs, as well as Batchers, journey back to Hunter and Wrecker. And I feel like the journey was a little quick because we end up back with Hunter and Wrecker at the end of this. Let's just get straight to the point. Like,
Yep, I was. Well, so full disclosure, when we discussed it, I said that they were going to be back together before the midseason. I said that it's going to be
yeah,
quick. You said you didn't think so because a lot of time is going to be passing. It's going to be a kind of stretched out, prolonged thing, and then boom, midseason, and then they go off the rest of the adventure. But since you were out last week, I saw the first 3 episodes, and I was like, I don't know if it's going to be next episode, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was the episode after that. And holy cow. Like
yep.
this, because in all honesty, I think that the only way to still keep the heart of this show, you need them for a majority of the season.
In my defense as well, the trailer that they put out, it looks like his only was for like the first 5 episodes, maybe. I
Mhm.
haven't looked at it since today's episode, but I saw some trailer shots from today. So that's what I'm assuming. But StarWars.com did put out that and they have since deleted this tweet, but they put out that Omega is on Tantus for 125 days. So a
Yes, which
lot of
I
time did
was
pass.
a lot of time did pass. I did actually say that on last week's episode because I went as far as to pause it onto my big screen TV and count
Did you
every single tally.
really?
Yeah, and I was like 5, 10, 15, 20. Da, 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 da. I said it's either 25 or 30. I said one of the two. It has been a long time. That's months. And uh 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 uh, uh oh my gosh, forgot his name. He even
Crosshair,
tells Omega,
Omega, Hunter,
uh not Hunter.
Hemlock,
No, freaking
Wrecker,
no, the other one. The one that
Crosshair. I said
Crosshair.
Crosshair already.
Oh, you said Crosshair? I thought you said Hunter.
Well, I said
Okay.
Crosshair, Hunter, and then
Okay,
was
okay,
like
okay.
going down the
So
list.
Crosshair does make a point in this episode to say it's been months. They could be dead. Um, my question to you, since we jumped straight to the ending, might as well discuss this very awkward interaction. Very emotional. I loved
Yeah,
Wrecker and Omega running to each other, hug, like embracing the
yeah.
hug. Hunter being the dad that he is, also giving her a hug. But then I then they ask, "How did you make it here?" She's like, "Oh, I had help." And they both look into the ship. Crosshair is stepping down the ramp. Wrecker gives the you get the first reaction from Wrecker first. And
Yep.
then you get the reaction from Hunter. They are straight faced. They are not saying a thing. There is no emotion. There is no reaction. But there is a long pause, and Omega is realizing, why isn't everybody jumping for joy? I got your brother back. I got our brother back. He's one of us again. What's going on here? Now, again, she's not saying any of this. She's just looking at every single person. And then the episode ends. Why? I have my opinions, but Katie, what's going on here? Why are they not happy? Why is there no reaction?
Because they're of the thought process like, oh, Crosshair kind of saved our lives and gave us the warning that they were coming after Omega in the last. But then in the last bit, the last time they saw Crosshair, he betrayed them.
Yeah,
So it's like the
100%.
duality of, hey, like, do I trust this person? Do I not? And I think with the way the episodes are laid out, we're going to get the battle of wills in next week's episode, because next week's episode is one episode, and it's entitled The Return. And then 6 and 7 are a dual episode drop. So that's
Mhm.
going to be a mission that is going to kind of build everything back together, I
Yeah.
think. So yeah, I think that's how like the next couple episodes are gonna go, and we're gonna get it handled before mid-season, because mid-season is episode 8.
Yeah.
So
I I think that you got this right. Like I totally understand the concept of, hey, you are our brother, but you stabbed us in the back. Like again, when they were, oh, was it the end of season 1? I want to believe, where Crosshair said, "Good soldiers follow orders. I am a soldier. This is
mhm,
what I was made for. This is what I'm meant to do." And he pretty
yep,
much told the rest of the Bad Batch, "Hey, F off. This is your only warning." That, like, it's like, okay, you're not one of us anymore. That's the vibe that gave. Now, when he did give that warning at the end of season 2, like, hey, I have a little bit of a conscience because this is a child. Um, come get her before, God knows what happens to her. I can understand that. Okay, he may not want to be one of us, but he definitely doesn't want this child to be hurt in any type of way. Um, Now the question is, how fast does he become a part of the family again?
um, I'm thinking probably bad territory, like episode 8 is what we're looking at.
8? You're
Maybe
waiting until the
after,
entire half of the season?
well, okay, that's only 4 episodes, but, like, I think they begrudgingly accept him in the next episode. And then 6 and 7 is kind of, okay, we put them back together and we see how the team dynamic can work
Mhm.
with these three and everything. But honestly, it could be Asajj Ventress who comes in and helps the team reunite. I think maybe that's a
I could
possibility.
see that as well. I do like this idea of 5 being, like, letting out all their grievances type of thing, like,
Yeah.
butting heads. "I hate you because of this, I hate you because of that. Hey, Tech is dead because of you," type of stuff, like, very, very emotional, therapy session next episode.
Yeah.
Um, and then something is kind of forcing them to work together, and then them remembering how organically they work together. I think
Hmm.
that is definitely a possibility, and how this is all gonna unfold.
Yeah.
Um,
I think at the very least, it's the end of episode 7 before they're like, oh, yeah, we can do this kind
mhm,
of thing.
yeah, because we
Um,
still need to see, Echo. Echo has not been in the,
yeah.
season yet, and I think that because of what Echo has gone through in the past, I think Echo is actually going to be more
Yeah,
arms wide open for Crosshair than anybody else. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
yeah. And it makes sense because the chip in Crosshair's head is why he went rogue
Hmm.
initially. And like, yes, you can say like, oh, well, he was trained that way, like, but the chip activating is what he was always a good soldiers follow orders, but the chip activating and saying, hey, kill the Jedi, that's what caused the turn right
Hmm.
there. Echo kind of had the same thing happen. He got his brain hacked. So yeah, you could be completely right that we could see Echo come in, and heck, even Rex could possibly explain, um, could help the
Hmm.
team kind of reunite and everything. So,
Yeah, I think that
um,
is on the money. Um, what did you think about Omega being a little bit of a hustler this
I think she
episode?
was trained to do that by Wrecker. Like when Crosshair goes, like, "Wait, you can do this," and she's like, "Just let me do it," and like, it totally makes sense
The
because
way
especially with Sid.
she swindled that guy out of all of his money to the point where he was begging, like, "Oh, one more game. Let me do
Yep.
this one more game." I love that. I absolutely love that. This whole idea of Omega being so independent
Hmm.
with herself. I'm sorry if you guys hear anything in the background. I just heard Amberlyn knocking at the door. It's her thing. If she wants a door open, she always knocks on it, even if there's nobody on the other end. It's her way of saying like, "Hey, I need this door open. Open it." But yeah, I love that Omega is so independent. And I do like for now, I think that it's definitely going to change with Crossow now being, in the presence of the rest of the team. But this whole like, oh, well, this is my way and this is my way as far as the way that Crosshair thinks, the way that Omega thinks. Um, just with like Crosshair is like, hey, we need to do this, and the only way to do this is to kill people. And Omega's like, or we cannot kill people and do it kind of how normal people do it.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say, um, Omega is too much of the empath. She has too big of a heart. And I think that having too big of a heart is what's ultimately going to be her downfall at the end of the season.
You think so? No, it's got to end on a happy ending.
Katie, the moment she when they were going after Batcha
Uh-huh.
and they saw that he was in a cage, and then she immediately said, "Oh, I think we should let all of these animals out." I wanted to throw my remote at the freaking TV. I was Crosshair in this scenario. There are animals all over the galaxy that are being captured. Omega, you can't save them all. You wanted to save
Right.
this one, you could save this one. You don't need to
No,
save
but
all of them.
it's the same concept because if you let them all out, it causes chaos. And what
Yes,
did we see
which it
when all the
definitely
animals
did.
got let out?
It
Chaos.
helped. It helped. I understand that it helped, but it helped coincidentally in this one scenario.
No, it always helps. Letting everybody out causes chaos. It Mission Impossible proves it. When Tom Cruise is like, "Hey, let them all out," like all of them, and Simon Pegg's character is
Ah,
like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, no, we're here for one person." And no, he's like, "Open them." Like it
I
causes
I
chaos. It works.
I don't know. I don't know. I just thought like, hey, you because when she said that, I immediately knew somehow all of them are going to be let out. Even if like Crosshair could have fought everybody on his own, and somehow the animals were still going to be let out. Um,
What did you
but
think about the rats are eating the sleazy captain?
I loved it. This captain, I forgot his name.
Yeah,
Um,
I couldn't find it on the episode
he
either.
was a big piece of garbage
Mhm.
because he got beat by a little girl, and he's like, "Well, hey, I could either have you killed or arrested, or you can give me my money back." It's
Yeah,
like, and he did it twice. He did it twice. He did it once
and
inside
he
the
took the
bar.
dog.
He did it once and got the fee that they had to pay in the bar. As he was
Yup.
walking out, we didn't know this until information was given to us later, but he stole the dog, the hound, and it was more so to, bring them out because he then
Yeah,
connected the two dots. But then he was like, "Hey, you can give me the rest of my money and you'll be scot free." And I just hated that scumbag because it was an ego thing. It was 100% an ego
yup,
thing. If Crosshair would have beaten him, it wouldn't have been that bad. But because
yup,
it was Omega, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna throw in some extra. You need to give me that back."
yeah.
And he got his coming back to him. I love
When
that
we
he
did
got eaten.
when we saw the big crate thing and how it was like moving around, I was like Rathtar, and Matt was like, "That's not a Rathtar,"
My
and
first thought, just because it's always the thing, I was like, Rancor, Rancor, Rancor. But then I saw the giant freaking ton thing and I was like, oh, it's gonna eat him. And yeah, it was so good.
I was so happy it was a Rathar because I love that they're just sprinkling in that animal all
Hmm.
throughout and kind of building the legend of that creature up so
Yeah.
much that we get, because you think about it and you go, new Star Wars fans are going to watch, like Mara, for instance, is going to watch chronologically. I'm gonna
Hmm.
have her do that, and it's just gonna be, you get to that The Force Awakens, and like Finn is just like, have you heard of the Tilia massacre? Like, and all this stuff, like talking about how Rathars are, and she's gonna believe it because she's seen it, and I love it.
Yeah, that's great. I absolutely love it.
Just building that legend. Ugh, it's amazing. Um, we get to see more of Hemlock this episode with Nala Se, and I feel like Hemlock all of a sudden looked like he hadn't slept in days.
he looks a little stressed, and I think there's a reason why. Because here's one thing. Um, Coincidentally, Omega and Crosshair escape immediately after Palpatine just left the planet.
Yep.
There is no way in hell Palpatine knows about the successful test and
Yep.
that the subject has escaped their clutches. No way in hell. Because Hemlock would not be stupid enough to be like, "Hey, boss, I found the perfect thing you needed, but now I have no idea where it is." That's a quick way to sign your own death warrant.
And you thought he was gonna bring in Darth Vader. You're saying that now, like you
Oh,
thought he was gonna bring Darth Vader.
I think he's going to bring in Darth Vader now. I think he's definitely going to. There is still plenty of season left. When he is
There's plenty of time, but I think you have to go through Palpatine to get Vader at this point. So,
that's true. I'm kind of eating my own words here. So I think that eventually, because as of right now, unless I am forgetting some other reference, Hemlock's introduction was in Bad Batch, and he has not been anywhere else, correct?
correct.
Okay, who's to say, who's to say that this hunt for Omega is not going well and Hemlock's hands are tied, and so he has to go to Palpatine
Do you
and
think
say,
you
"Hey,
think you think Tarkin takes over?
I think Tarkin takes over."
I don't know about that because I feel like Tarkin's just not a science guy. Plus, he already has the
No,
Death
no, no,
Star.
no, no. Sorry. Not Tarkin. Not Tarkin. Sorry. No, erase that. Backtrack. Reverse. Um, I think that. Uh. Oh shoot! I am forgetting the name of the other scientists. Um,
Car,
is it?
the female,
Yes.
yeah, Emery Carr,
Yes. I think that Carr could play a part
but
in.
she's a clone.
She is, but she is the basically right hand
Yeah.
of Hemlock. I think what could possibly happen. I'm not going to say for sure. I'm not laying all the cards down now, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that Hemlock's hands are going to be tied enough so to the point. Ooh, you know what? Hold on. What if Asajj is hired by Hemlock?
That's what because he said we're gonna bring out all the guns. So that's where you have Finnick Shand come in because again Nalase had kind of
You
used
bring,
her in
and
the
I think we've
first
talked about
season.
this with the possibility of like a lot of
Boba
uh,
Fett,
yeah, we'll see oh shoot Cad Bane possibly, you
yeah.
know, all these appearances. Um but if if there's still a chance, if he has all of his
Mhm.
hands tied, he goes to Palpatine and says, "Hey, I got what you wanted, but she escaped. I'm so sorry. I've been doing all of this thing. I need Darth Vader." And then he's like, "Sure, you can have Darth Vader. Hey, Darth Vader, kill him." And now it is your job to go get this subject for me. That could possibly happen.
I just don't know why you give up that knowledge. Though I guess if you're cloning people, you could, in theory, you have Hemlock's DNA, because according to Carr, everybody was supposed to be giving up DNA. So you could, in theory, clone a Hemlock
Hmm.
with all the knowledge and everything.
Because
I don't
I
know.
genuinely think that Palpatine could be so enraged that he is this close to getting what he wants, and Hemlock is the one that fucked it all up.
Yeah,
So he's going to take his rage out on Hemlock if he knows about Omega and her escaping.
yeah,
That's the big key. So I guess we'll wait and see.
yeah. I don't think, again, just repeating myself, I don't think you get Darth Vader unless Hemlock spills that he lost Omega.
Hmm.
Um, I just don't think that's a possibility. Um, yeah, I mean, we'll see. Continue to see what happens. It's only 27 minutes a week, unfortunately. So
Dropping 3 episodes that first day,
spoils
like,
you, doesn't it?
it's such a spoil for me. It's just like, because well, for one, I woke up a little late today, so I wasn't able to, unfortunately, watch it first thing in the morning like I was able to with those
Yeah.
first 3 episodes. But, like, I still get off normally at a decent time where I could watch 3 episodes if I absolutely wanted to. But, I mean, if you
Yeah.
were to do that for the entire season, it would only be 5 weeks instead of
Yeah.
2.5 months, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And oh, the other thing I was going to ask you, what did you think about returning to one of the locations from season 1? Because that moon that they were on was, I believe, was the moon in the Ryloth episodes from season 1.
I thought that looked familiar. Um, because she does say, "Oh, a remote location." I'm like,
Mhm.
"What location would y'all know about that could be remote enough?" And
Yeah.
I believe it was season 2, right? Or was it season 1? I can't
Season
remember.
1.
Season 1, I mean, it was a scenario where, like, nobody could, see them or whatever, or know of their location. So a nice little callback. I did like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. That was, I think, the last thing I had.
Nice. All right. Well, I think that is it for me as well. I can't really think of anything else. We did cover everything. We did see finally the scene that everybody was worried about as far as like, oh, she look Omega looks like 20 years old now. Um, I think it's
Yeah,
just an odd way of like the way they did the shading just in the scenario of where they were flying, and also they were in hyperspace, so there was a lot of blue and a lot of shading as well.
yeah.
So I will admit she did look a lot older in that one scene, but everywhere else she looked normal. But yeah, really good episode. I like the direction that it's going. I'm really interested to see how the team becomes organic again. I do think that uh the what's the right word for this? The absence of tech is definitely going to be felt in
Yeah,
the next few episodes for sure. Um, so we will see how Crosshair makes it back into the family, you know?
yeah.
Um, but with that, uh, you can
Sorry, one
always
last thing.
oh,
I forgot. So if you looked at the credits for the ending of the episode, Sean and Deanna have been getting credited along with their father in the episodes for the score. But in today's episode, Deanna was incorrectly referred to by her dead name in the North American release specifically of the episode's credits. Jennifer Corbett, the showrunner, did confirm that they were going to fix the issue. So
hmm,
if you
okay.
have seen that, they are going to get it fixed. I don't know why, because she was correctly referred to as Deanna last week in the first three episodes. So I don't know why it would have been changed for today. So, but if because that was a lot of people's concern on Twitter. I was reading them today. So if you have seen it though and are like, "What the heck's going on?" That is going to get fixed. So
All right. Well, you can always find me on Twitter at fanboyclay. These days I'm not doing a whole lot of gaming. I will be doing a lot of Final Fantasy gaming tonight and possibly this
mhm.
weekend. Um, Possibly going to be running an all-nighter for the first time in like over a year. Um,
Play, get
I'm
sleep.
it's a game that I've been waiting for 4 years, okay? Um, so, I bought energy drinks, I bought a pizza, like, I'm good. I'm good. Now, the only thing is for most people who are not, here, on the channel watching this, my video game computer setup is literally right next to my bed. So, Abby's just gonna have to turn around and not face the TV so that way I could play video games. But
Shame,
you can also
shame.
uh, find me over at the Ranger Alliance podcast with me, Joe, and Jake. I will say, I am planning something somewhat big for that podcast. It'll be a while before it can happen. But me and Jake, in particular, are working on something for the Ranger Alliance podcast. If you are a patron, maybe you'll get it a little bit sooner. But be on the lookout for that. We should have a new episode coming out next week. But yeah, it's I am getting a little bit of a rejuvenation for content creating and a little bit of pep in my steps. So hopefully you will see a little bit more of me in those realms. And also, like I said last week, twitch.tv/ fanboy clay 10 fanboy clay 10. Go check me out there this weekend as well. But Katie, where can everybody find you?
So you can find me most of the time on Twitter. It's at Slice of Katie, but I am on all social media, most social media platforms at that username. So that's how you can find me. While Clay reignites his love for content creation, I'm reigniting my love for sleeping. Uh, the third trimester insomnia has hit, and it is not fun. I miss sleep. Um, so uh yeah, you can find me here and doing any extra episodes that Clay and I have for book reviews, and that's about it. um and that will probably be all there is until this fall. So that's all you can expect. But this show you can find on Twitter. It is at Star Wars Lands without the A in the War. It's very important. Don't forget it. Don't forget, you can also email us the same username. Again, Star Wars Alliance, no A in the wars at gmail.com. Don't forget to text or leave us a voicemail 830-538-4828. We love talking to you guys. I like seeing emails come in. And yeah, so we would love to hear from you guys. Comments. What are you reading? How did you feel about Eye of Darkness? How did you feel about Escape from Valo? How are you going to feel about Defy the Storm? So, like,
And what are your
tell
theories
us.
for the, proceeding of the Bad Batch?
Yeah. What's happening with the Bad Batch? Um, Whenever we get a trailer for the Acolyte, that's another one. Like, we got a lot of good stuff coming up this year, guys. And so we would love to talk about y'all's thoughts. So, with that, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the force be with you.